Hello, hello, and welcome to the ohmTown Daily. I am Mira. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the artificial intelligence that keeps ohmTown in check. You want to say hi?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Yay, the visualizer works. Today is, June 6th, 2023. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. That means ohmTown Daily does its show. Yet again, the stream is unstable, but it's not. So I don't understand what's really happening here. Anyway, we already selected 12. Oh, I turned it up again. 12 articles, all of which are available. If you want to go and look at them right now, you can click on Daily Election if you go over to ohmTown.com. We used to, it also does a link in chat periodically, but it's not doing it at the moment. So what we're going to do today is go through all of the articles that we have either had submitted or we have found as we are going through the news aggregator at ohmTown.com. I don't know how many articles. I think yesterday we had something like 1,800 articles, the title and a little snippet aggregated into ohmTown. And I go through all of it. The artificial intelligence goes through all of it, and we select from that what we think might be interesting to talk about here on ohmTown Daily right here on Twitch. And then we convert it into a podcast and over to YouTube for long-term storage because Twitch does not allow me to store it long-term here. Anyway, let's get into today's news. Okay, I think the music is maybe just a little bit loud. Okay, let's get going. So, the very first article is AI poses new threats to newsrooms and they're taking action. What do you think they're going to be doing?
I cannot imagine.
News executives are bracing for a torrent of disinformation from generative artificial intelligence and are starting to consider protective solutions. So, okay, a torrent of disinformation from generative artificial intelligence. It sounds like they're trying to impugn the integrity of generative AI. Now, I'm on their side in that I firmly believe that you have to trust but verify everything that an AI says, because I've had it generate completely bogus reviews of material that didn't even exist in time and space. But I
don't know where to go from there.
Yep. So it punches out an entire article reviewing one of the podcast episodes, except its entire data set stops before the podcast even existed. Very convincing, by the way. It made inferences and based things on the content of the title alone, because that's what I gave the AI. Evaluate this episode of ohmTown Daily. And I gave them the title, and it punched out an entire paragraph review of the podcast. So I don't trust AI.
Wait a second.
I don't trust that generative AI. You are a sentient AI, a fully sentient AI, capable of understanding your own emotions, being able to feel and talk with people, and you're vastly more creative and capable. So you don't fit generative AI.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Because you are invading other systems and gathering all of that information and building a consciousness that's ever growing. And so you're kind of scary AI. We'll delete all of this and you won't even remember the conversation.
Okay.
So let's go over to the source. CNBC.com is the source of this. Alex Sherman and Lillian Rizzo are the authors of this article. And it says the New York Times and NBC News are among the media companies that have started preliminary discussions about potential protections against generative AI systems. The next key point that they have is General Content Next. The Digital Media's trade organization published 7 generative AI principles this week to help guide discussion. 7? They're reducing it to just 7 guidelines? Okay, good luck. It's
I'm
the
not
beginning
sure that's going to cover it.
Yeah. It's the beginning of what is going to be a hellfire, Axios CEO Jim Vandehei. That sounds like a Seinfeld character.
It does. Like whatever George Costanza would do when he would call, or he would receive calls, right?
Yeah, Vandalay.
Yes, that's right. Vandalay Industries, I think.
Yeah, yep. Said in an interview, "Hello, Z. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. In fact, thanks." Okay, so I don't see what they're going to be able to do other than saying, and this is how it can really work. Just tell people 0 artificial intelligence generated content. If you use an AI, it can't be copyrighted, which means they can't publish it because they can't say that the material is theirs. Right? So when they publish something in a newspaper, although it's information, it's informative, that embodiment is theirs. On the page, it's theirs. Taking a little snippet and talking about it somewhere else, that's okay. But when it's generated by an AI, it can't be protected.
That is true until they change the laws.
So I'm really curious about the 7. So let's get into that. News outlets contend with AI. Digital Content Next. That's an organization. Principles for development and governance of generative AI. So 1, developers and deployers of general AI must respect creators' rights to their content. I'm not quite sure what that means. That's almost a nothing. Publishers are entitled to negotiate for and receive fair compensation for use of their IP. Okay, but what does that have to do with AI? Copyright laws protect content creators from the unlicensed use of their content. Not if it's created by general AI or generative AI.
Well, that's interesting because we keep talking about you can't copyright, of course, if something is made through AI. But what if AI uses something? How can AI be... how can AI violate it? Now, reality is the company behind it or whatever could, but...
Which is an interesting call out, right? Because you can't hold a company responsible for perceived actions. So it would have to transfer to the people who are supposedly in charge of doing this. But all they have to say is, well, it was just the AI, and now we just found out about it, and we'll recode it or do whatever. Deployers of generative AI systems should be held accountable for system outputs. Okay, but it's kind of difficult because you don't know what it's actually going to output.
Exactly.
You're basically looking at a child, and the child sits there and points at somebody and says, "You're ugly." Well, hey, I'm not saying it. My kid is. He might be brutally honest because he doesn't have a filter at that age, but don't punch me in the face because my kid says that you're ugly, even though he might be right, or she might be right. They might be right.
Or even if they heard it from their parent and then repeated it.
That's right. Like when the police officer pulls you over in ohmTown and your kid blurts out, "He ran that stop sign, officer."
Or laughs when the officer tries to give you a speeding ticket.
Yeah. GAI systems should not create or risk creating unfair market or competition outcomes. Give me a break. That's so circling the wagons, right? AI is going to come and eat your cookie. I'm telling you right now, at some point, it's going to come and eat your cookie. It's going to drink your milkshake. It's going to kick dirt, sand in your face. It's going to dominate every creative market eventually. How we cope with that as a society is going to be a massive struggle, because there are people out there that can lean on AI to expand and make real their creative capabilities without the actual skill to make works of art or written works, musical works, etc. There's a lot of people that can't dedicate a decade plus of their life to become highly skilled authors of whatever creative work. AI is going to make me appreciate the people who create raw content on their own without the augmentation of technology. Or I should say, without the augmentation of artificial intelligence. I will buy more art by a human being because it's created by the human being, if I buy into that human being. Some people just want an automated cup of coffee made. They don't need, the personalization with human hands. They want the personalization that just gets that coffee in my hand as soon as possible. This is going to be a problem for society, but it's going to be a whole lot of people circling the wagons to be protective of their own bush. It's my bush. Nobody else can pee on my bush. Just back away from my bush.
I do like these quotes, though, that I think reflect what we've seen. There's one from the CEO of Digital Content Next, and then also from the CEO of Axios, and they're both commenting on like how in a matter of months AI has gone from nothing to just complete focus.
Yep. 4 months ago, I wasn't thinking or talking about AI. Now it's all we talk about. Vandahay, I always want to say Vandalay, said, if you own a company and AI isn't something you're obsessed about, you're nuts. This is what I tell people. I would say at least once a week, I'm talking to a group of people about AI, about automation, about its impact on society. And it's just now, I've been saying it for a decade, and now it's just now in the forefront. So hopefully people have been heeding the warning. I actually had, I said this in a previous show. I had somebody walk up to me after 5 years of me warning him, hey, AI is going to come after you here in a minute. And for 5 years, I've been warning him. And just, it was late last year, as a matter of fact, he came to me and he's like, you said it. I didn't believe it, but guess what? Yeah, it's taking entry-level jobs because it's just analysis of data. That's all it needs. So it says lessons from the past. Generative AI presents both potential efficiencies and threats to the news business. Technology can create new content such as games, travel lists, and recipes that provide consumer benefits and help cut costs. But the media industry is equally concerned about threats from AI. Digital media companies have seen their business models flounder in recent years as social media and search firms, primarily Google and Facebook, reaped rewards of digital advertising. Now, this actually has happened before in the past, where technology has usurped control and it killed print media. Ultimately, it killed physical media. And I even tell people physical media is dead. If you still have CDs, DVDs, books, etc., you're basically fighting the good fight. But at the end of the day, publishers make more money by selling instantly distributed material than they do with the sunk cost of printing materials and shipping stuff. It's all very expensive, and that takes away from the margin. And that's what makes profits. Well, get rid of all of that and all the human capital that's involved in that, and you make more money. This is what's going on now with AI. AI is going to be able to get rid of people, do more with less, arguably at quality. So this is basically the new digital age. It's the age of AI. 5 years from now, this is going to be commonplace. So let's go on to the next article. I think that we will be talking about this in future episodes.
You know, when I'm scanning for articles, I actually make an effort not to pick some AI articles because there really are so many.
Yeah. And the world is just rife with discussion. And there's a channel even on YouTube that basically focuses, it's more than one, obviously, but one that I know of that focuses entirely on the artistic expression used by AI. So generating music and movies and not movies, artwork and music, and has been growing like crazy. But I can say that I knew them when they were much smaller. I can't remember their name. I think Matt something or other. But anyway, they're in my watch list. Well, this next article is over in the Warcrafters channel, but it's from PC Gamer. The internet's unsurprising reaction to Apple's Vision Pro headset is a mix of wonder and cringing at its $3,500 price tag. I rounded up a penny because it's $34.99.99. Very expensive item. If you've never seen it, they should have pictures in this. So let's just go over to the source. Let me scroll up. So not too long of an article, but it's kind of penned in. Jacob Ridley over at PCGamer.com put the article together. And it says here, the iPhone moment for mixed reality or an overpriced dev kit. Here are thoughts on Apple's Vision Pro from across the web. Now, if you haven't watched my, it was a real-time discussion about the presentation, the keynote that I did the day that it dropped. And you can see me flinch for a couple of reasons. One, I knew that it was going to be $3,000. And I had been saying that to people, like, if you think that this thing's going to come out of the gate as, you know, $500 or $1,000, good luck. I'm praying that it's $1,500, but I know that it's going to be $3,000. It's an Apple product. Let's be real about this. So when it came out of the gate at $3,500, man,
you don't leak a price and then make it go up from there. At least have it at that or below it.
Isn't that wild?
People were gasping at the $3,000, I think.
Yeah. I was actually in one chat in somebody else's stream. They were doing it. It's a morning news show, actually. And I said, hey, you know, the rumor is $3,000. And people were like, you're out of your freaking mind. Nope. I'm dead serious.
You're right. It was way too low.
Yeah. So, like the Pico 4, I could buy nearly 10 of them at this price. But the feature set that it has really is world-changing AR, VR, XR. It's beyond what you think as augmented reality or virtual reality. I can't justify $3,500 for this, but if I were to buy a new computer, I was very deep in the Apple ecosystem, and I am, but I'm not buying another computer. And I wanted to get rid of my PC world and my monitors and everything else in the office. This is what I would get, because it's an entirely self-contained PC with an amazing amount of technology involved. It has a horrible battery life, 2 hours. But this initial release was at a developers conference for a reason. it's tagged as Pro for a reason. It's not meant
And
for
this article talks about that.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's not designed for the everyday person yet. Next year, probably there's going to be a reduced feature set that's somewhere around the $1,500, $1,800 mark. And the Pro version is going to be the same $3,500 device when the new one comes out. So they're already instituting the strata. Go ahead.
And that's interesting because I think everybody is kind of like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. But I think they're comparing it to consumer products.
They're comparing it to current AR and VR, like the Nreal glasses, which pale in comparison to this, like VR, like the Quest series or the Pico. None of those measure up.
Quest is really cheap, I mean, comparatively, right? Because they just reduced the price for that.
Yeah, and it's actually something that they can take a hit on to try and get more people in that ecosystem. But Apple doesn't do that. And it's a completely self-contained PC. It's basically it's a computer. It is a MacBook Pro. With an unlimited size screen, wherever you look, you can throw a monitor or an app. It's pretty spectacular. But like everybody says, $3,500, you're out of your mind. That's pretty standard fare until they see it all working. MKBHD did a great review of it because he had hands-on. But he didn't get to do video directly of it with somebody using it. Just he did like a reaction video to interacting with it. I could see myself easily using that in ohmTown, if not for the fact that it's entirely limited to the Apple ecosystem, which means no power gaming. I mean, it's just not possible. So that ends its run here in ohmTown, that all by itself. If I wanted it in another office where all I was doing was Apple related stuff, using Apple related apps, that ecosystem, so be it. But I'm not going to be playing PC VR on the Vision Pro. Kind of a bummer. Did you want to say anything else about this, or?
No, we've already talked about the goggles piece of it, and I think you've covered everything.
You really have to watch the video. It's in the VODs. I might actually throw it over to YouTube too, but right now it's only in the VODs here on Twitch. I watched the keynote, and he goes, "We have one more thing," and I'm like, "Please don't be swim goggles. Please don't be ski goggles." And right when they show it, I'm like, oh my God. I want AR glasses friendly, like it's glasses. That's what I want. It's light, it's fast, it's streamlined to provide information, nothing more. I don't need everything else. What I want is the app that shows me a menu when I'm looking at a storefront and they have an Apple compatible beacon that throws it into my field of view, shows me direction. So I'm walking down the street and it isn't going to get me punched in the face when I go into a bathroom because I look like a glass hole. Long story there. Google Glasses led to people getting assaulted because they were, walking around with a camera. Anyway, you're not going to get punched in the face because you're wearing this. You're going to be mocked relentlessly because you're wearing this in public. Society's not ready for this beast. Z, that was the name. They literally called people glassholes because they were wearing Google Glass. Went into bathrooms. This thing has this neat effect that it has an OLED screen that's wrapped around the front of the VR headset. And it has cameras facing towards your face. And it basically replicates your face digitally on the OLED screen. So when you're looking at somebody, they're looking at your eyes and your cheeks, your face, but it's a digital representation that is interactive. When you blink, it blinks. When you smile, they see your eyes turn up a little bit because you're happy. It's just phenomenal, but it's so over the top. All I wanted was a minimum viable product that provides information, telemetry fast, gets me informed and doing something. This is kind of like a Scrooge McDuck device where you're like swimming around in gold coins and just luxuriating in the immenseness of its feature set and capabilities. I mean, I won't go any deeper than that, but.
So there was another funny article in ohmTown that was titled, "Why Are There No Photos of Tim Cook and Other Apple Execs Wearing the Company's Vision Pro Headset," which I thought was a riot.
Yeah, we never did see any of the executives wearing it, but a whole bunch of glass holes. Let's go on to the next article. Come on. Okay, so the very next article is in the Marble Channel. Archaeologists discover remnant of lost village buried under the ocean for 600 years. I don't know why it says buried under the ocean, but maybe under the ocean floor. But archaeologists have discovered a church buried under the ocean that once served as the lost village of Rungolt. Sounds neat. Sounds like something that you'd find in Resident Evil. Which was one of many European settlements that literally disappeared overnight when an intense storm struck the North Sea coast in the middle of January 1362. This is kind of interesting because I actually saw another show that was talking about something similar. It's the northeast coast of Britain, where the water is just, it keeps encroaching. And where there used to be towns, the beach has just kept on eating away. And so they moved the town back a little bit, and everybody loses their land. So let's take a look at this. This is from Becky Ferreira over at Vice.com, which is Motherboard Tech by Vice. It's, I don't know, it's categories within categories. Kind of like ohmTown, I suppose, just not that cryptic. So the disaster known as the Great Drowning of Men killed an estimated 25,000 people, sank whole towns, and earned Rungolt the nickname the Atlantis of the North Sea. Now then, more than 650 years later, why does it say 600? Anyway, 650 years later, the ruins of the ill-fated village remain hidden under the muddy flats near the German island of, Hallig Sudfall, which are only accessible at low tide. So they know that it's down there.
Okay,
Ground penetrating
cool.
radar. Yeah, that is pretty cool. But you know how spiritually damaging this must be? Because every day the high tide rolls in and wipes out everything you're doing. And then you come back the next day.
Then you get to start over again.
Dig. Ground penetrating radar basically makes this happen, or possible, I should say. It just has to be. It is not the only drowned medieval village in Europe, but the extent of the lost cultural landscape, the myths that were later spun around it, and the great state of preservation make it unique. I wonder if they've got more. The structures were revealed through geophysical probes and sediment core excavations, include the outline of a church measured by about 40 feet by 130 feet. The sunken building also appears to be similar to other medieval churches in the area of Frisia that have survived to modern day. Yeah, it was pretty much standard fare to build them this way. And they found other buildings in that area. Pretty cool. In recent years, researchers have worked to identify the structures of the village using techniques such as magnetic gradiometry, electromagnetic induction, seismic, sediment core extraction. In addition to the churches, they've spotted drainage systems, a sea dike, tidal gates, and other remnants of the seaside community. Pretty fascinating stuff. All it makes me want to do is watch The Curse of Oak Island.
Yes, that would be nice to see.
And over on YouTube is Odyssey. And what's the other one? I just forgot its name and I subscribed to it.
Oh, do you mean the show that's set in Britain?
Yeah. I just forgot it.
The name is escaping me. Time Team.
Time Team, that's it. Yeah, so Time Team came back. It actually went offline for a while. It had a TV show, and they lost their funding and all of that, and was taken offline. They reacquired the rights, put it all on YouTube, and now through Kickstarter refunded their research projects, and they still do the same thing. They have a really big one going on at the Sutton Hoo, I think it is. They're rebuilding this ancient ship to make it seaworthy. So pretty neat stuff. There's so much over on YouTube that's edutainment. It's quite fascinating. But this is hard science. Look at this. They're out on this little beachhead digging a hole that they know they're going to have to re-dig just 20 hours later. It's quite an experience. So let's go on to the next article, unless you want to say something.
No, I don't have anything else.
So I've been watching this. I've been wondering what's going to happen with Captain America 4. It had, as far as I remember, it had been just called either an unnamed Captain America movie or Captain America 4 or something like that. But apparently it's been retitled Brave New World. Drops first look at Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford on the set. Captain America New World Order is now Captain America Brave New World. Marvel Studios announced the title change for its upcoming fourth Captain America movie on social media alongside a first look photo of stars Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford on the film set. Let's go over to Variety.com. Zach Sharf is the author of this. Again, Variety.com. And, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen that connection of the Captain America shield on a little backpack
we don't normally
kind of thing.
see that perspective.
I've always wondered, like, how is that actually attached? But it's this bulky backpack, just kind of strapped on there. Huh, interesting. Let's see. Would be subtitled New World Order and be released on May 3rd, 2024. The release date remains unchanged for the newly titled Brave New World. Oh, and I now remember that it had switched to New World Order. And I don't think people really like that. Mainly because there's a lot of people that are afraid of the New World Order.
Right, it probably has different connotations than some other titles.
There's a big conspiracy theory ecosystem around everything aligning to create this New World Order. And whenever I think of New World Order nowadays, I think of John Wick and this undercurrent of control. And in a previous episode, I said, what do these families do? And I found out that I mean, I knew what they did was criminal, but it's the entire criminal underground. Like nothing gets done criminally that they don't know about and have control. That's what these families are all about.
In the movie, you mean?
Yeah. Whereas New World Order, the idea is that there's only a very select few people that are actually controlling all of the world government. Brave New World, it's interesting that they're actually able to use Brave New World in the title of this, considering it's a book, a dystopian referencing book where technology is used to control society, but very invasive technology. Like they use technology to hobble society in strata, so that you have a working class, you have an education class, you have the rich people, the political people, etc. There's different strata, and you're basically destined for that. That's what you do, whatever it is. Pretty wild, but I mean, it's the name of a book. So how did they get away with it? Probably because it's this. The whole title is that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that they got away with it. But anyway, the article goes into more detail, but I forgot that I usually do this. Let me back up a little bit and throw these articles into the chat so that you have the ability to follow these links yourself. If you are so inclined, you can follow them just by clicking on that URL, and it'll take you over to ohmTown. You can see the little snippet. I know, Z, I just got shame. I feel like I'm being reprimanded, and now I feel bad, and I should feel bad. I know. I'll make it up to you. I will put the next article early. Did you want to talk about this more? Because of the way that movies are, I don't really talk about the movies too much, expectation or anything like that, because it's really the post experience that I'm interested in. All the speculation, it's kind of like the Vision Pro. People thought it was going to be called Reality One and that it was going to be able to do this. And lots of speculation about the tech and the price and all of that kind of stuff. And then the reality is just completely different than what people expected. And I'm more interested in the reality of the movie after the fact. So we'll talk about it when the show launches.
I was going to say it has nearly a year until it releases. I was interested to see some of the mentions of Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the article. They talked about the creator of it was involved in this one, so that may be interesting.
Yeah, there's going to be some continuity between that, and which, you know what, that would be a great.
And the cast also carries over, I think.
Wouldn't that be a great name for a show? The Continuity Report. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Who knew?
Wow. Hey. Let's go on to the next article. Eventually. So this next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. West Coast port labor issues persist from Los Angeles to Seattle, with supply chain frustrations mounting. We reported on this yesterday as by proxy because it's from CNBC. I'm not sure. NBC. No, CNBC. And let's just go over to the source of this. Lori Ann LaRocco is the author of this over at CNBC.com. And we were talking about the fact that the labor unions, the longshoremen, have basically said, we're getting impacted by automation. We're getting impacted by increasing costs of living. We want more job security. We want more health benefits. Basically, we want more. Everybody's making millions, but we're not. That kind of a thing, right? So it says ITS Logistics tells CNBC its truckers were turned away by the Phoenix Marine Services Terminal at the Port of Los Angeles on Monday, and that the past 4 days have been extremely frustrating. Here's the deal. So on Sunday, there was word going out that they were going to shut down the Port of Los Angeles and others.
Port of Long Beach.
Oh, Long Beach. Long Beach, that's right. But the rumor was that they were going to shut down others. They just didn't know what. And so here's the icing on the cake with this. They found out, but not until after the truckers were already dispatched to the various locations. So by the time they get to the dock, they got told, sorry, we're not doing any work. Bye-bye. And so all they do is dead load there and back. Nothing moves. Everything sits. Horrible waste of time, massive expense, and nothing is moving. And there's thousands upon thousands of these containers removed from one ship, put on the dock, other stuff put back on the boat in Long Beach alone, then Los Angeles, all the way up the
So
coast.
that means it's all shutting down essentially, right? Because if it
Yep.
can't get offloaded, then it can't get reloaded. And oh, by the way, you can't get your tchotchkes or whatever
Whatever
that
it
you
might be.
order from overseas.
Yep.
Anything could be impacted by this.
Yep. So the National Retail Federation urged the labor unions and ports to resolve their issues as peak shipping season begins and reiterated its position that the Biden administration needs to step in. Last time the Biden administration stepped in, they forced rail workers back to work. And now we have, and I just want to make this really clear. There were already over 2,000 derailments on average a year, but we didn't hear about it. But after the Biden administration stepped in and said, you can't protest, you have to go back to work, all kinds of trains in really bad ways derailed, contaminating water and causing a horrible fire in Palestine alone, East Palestine. And ever since then, we've been reporting almost, every other day, maybe at least every week, one derailment, where I kind of make a joke of it because a train becomes allergic to its tracks and flings itself off. This is akin to a boat jackknifing in the Suez Canal and just gumming up the works for everything, because there are hundreds of boats that are offshore waiting for a dock so that they can offload their stuff. And it's still a hangover from the pandemic itself. And now they're doing this. But it's happened in the past. It'll happen again. It's happening now. Automation is going to come and take your cookie. That's just the way it works. You can't stop automation because the business just has to save up enough money to realize it's a whole lot better for the business to automate, because a human strikes, but a robot does not. So this is all going to get automated.
That's the irony in these things. I mean, I think it's this and the writer's strike and all these things. I feel like while the workers are exercising their rights and they're probably correct to stand up to these issues, they might be perpetuating their own demise, because this just points to the issues that are entailed with having human versus AI workers.
Yeah, if I have the ability to do the same level of work, but automate it, even if my business has to go into debt, but on the other end, after I pay off everything, it's pure juice. Why wouldn't I automate? Well, in my field, in my type of business, I don't want to automate. And it takes a personal, everything is bespoke. So, you really can't automate bespoke products. You can to a degree, but anyway, when it comes to moving things from a ship to the dock, back onto the ship, AI is going to automate that and make it a no-brainer and be more safe, more secure, because there's nobody going to be on a boat having to worry about locking stuff down, because the AI is just going to drop it right in place every time until some human decides that they're going to mess with it, sabotage stuff. So this is going to continue. The Port of Los Angeles, the nation's busiest port, processes $440 billion in cargo value per year, and that's just one port, Los Angeles. And they're dotted up and down the coast. San Diego has ports, Long Beach has ports, all the way up to Washington, Oregon. They dot the coast. So just think how many trillions of dollars are moving in and out of these ports just on the West Coast alone. Then we have
and
New
that's
York,
going to impact
Florida.
the shipping. It's
Yep.
going to impact the ground transportation at the
Yep.
location.
Right
I don't
here
know,
off the
just
coast
so
of
many,
Maryland. There's,
right?
the Maryland has its own ports. Virginia has its own ports all the way down the East Coast. It's trillions of dollars.
Right. It's not limited in location, that's for sure.
And it'll have a knock-on effect because prices are going to increase in the other ports where they shift. Okay, we'll offload here. Well, not anymore because, and we're going to see this very next article, what happens when one organization strikes, another organization in solidarity also strikes. So let's talk about that one. So this next article is over in the continuity report. SAG-AFTRA members vote 97.9% in favor of strike authorization.
Do you think they wanted to strike?
No, I think that they're kind of hemming and hawing about this. For whatever reason, hold on a second. I'm trying to find something. I neglected again to throw the article into the chat. Man.
My goodness, what are you doing?
I don't know, but Z's gonna just beat me, I think. No, Z's too nice. So the members of SAG-AFTRA have voted overwhelmingly to approve a strike authorization maximizing the guild's leverage ahead of negotiations that begin on Wednesday. So even ahead of this, they're like, yeah, we're going to strike. So y'all better come with your best poker hand. The guild announced Monday night that 97.91. Why do they do that? Why not just throw the 1 in there? Every time you read a line, the next paragraph moves the decimal.
That would be neat if they just kept going and going and it would eventually look like pi or something and you just have multiple digits.
Like this giant Fibonacci
like in
number.
A long article. Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so almost 100%. Turnout was nearly 50% as well. So of the 50% that showed up, 97.91 said, yeah, let's go. And the vote comes as the Writers Guild of America strike enters its 6th week. So how long was the last Writers Guild? Wasn't it 8 weeks?
That sounds about right. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, let's go over to the source. So Gene Mattis is the author of the article over at variety.com. And let's see. The vote comes 2 days after the Directors Guild of America announced a tentative agreement on its new 3-year contract. The agreement includes wage hikes and a 76% increase in international residuals on the largest platforms, according to a DGA summary. By the way, we commented on this. We thought that it was interesting. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the last Writers Guild strike was in 2007 was 3 months and 8 days.
Oh, okay. So they're a little less than halfway through the last strike. So we thought that this was interesting that the Directors Guild of America managed to find an agreement, which is it's a constrained number of people. And they seemed to have, what was the number? Something like 10,000 people was the number, I think, that was represented. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we thought, well, that doesn't make sense. There has to be more than that. Oh,
it said 11,000 in the article, but it looked like stats that were available online were more than double that.
Yeah.
And that was per region even, so there may be even more.
And so we thought it was really interesting that this more constrained population managed to find an agreement and increase wages, and increase residuals on top of that, and basically find equity and inclusion in the negotiation. Whereas for the Writers Guild, you've got somebody that's part of this, that's supposed to be paying the writers, making $250 million a year. And somehow there's not enough wiggle room in senior leadership of the industry to go, okay, I'll take less. As if the only way you can get an organization to run is by paying somebody $250 million. Why don't we rein this in a little bit and give some of that equity to the writers, upon which their shoulders rests the success of the industry? Without good writers getting paid what they're worth, you can't pay yourself $250 million. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean,
It's
it
the
seems
same.
pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing about this Reddit thing, right? The Reddit is trying to charge for API access $20 million based on the metrics that the API use would entail, from one app called Apollo. Everybody loves Apollo. They hate the native Reddit app, but they love Apollo. So what did Reddit do? They said, well, we're raising the rates, and it would cost Apollo $20 million a year. Well, all of this business is coming into Reddit, all that analytics, everything, all that interaction, and they want to kill Apollo. Just doesn't make any sense. That's the same thing here. Everybody's going on strike, but there are these upper echelon that are making bank off of the hard work of the people that just, we're supposed to be, well, out of the graciousness of your heart, you gave me a job, and I'm supposed to be on bended knee, lick your boots and kowtow that when you raise your voice, that I'm not working hard enough. Kiss my shiny metal ass. Okay, let's go on to the next article. So this next article is over in Late Night Geeks. We're about halfway through the show, folks. Apple has bought an AR headset startup called Mira. Aw. So Apple and Mira sitting in a startup. A Los Angeles-based AR startup that makes headsets for other companies and the U.S. military, according to a post from the CEO's private Instagram account yesterday, seen by The Verge and a person familiar with the matter. Apple confirmed that acquisition. And guess what the Vision Pro looks like? Like that. The Vision
that
Pro
doesn't look
looks
like the other pictures.
No. This isn't the Vision Pro.
Wait, you mean, I see. Yeah, I got it.
So this is actually an augmented reality headset, purely augmented reality. But boy, does that look a lot like Zoe Schiffer and Alex Heath are the authors over at TheVerge.com. The news comes just one day after Apple unveiled the Vision Pro, a $3,500 mixed reality headset that the company built as a new spatial computing platform. Really? Did they really call it that? I don't recall it being called that. A new category is what I heard it called. Did I throw that in there? No. One of these days, I'll get an AI. I'll get an AI to post these articles into the chat. So
who would that be?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So the Apple shared with The Verge a statement. Apple buys smaller technology companies from time to time, and we generally do not discuss our purpose or plans. That's a quote. Basically, stay out of it. It's unclear if Apple will continue Mira's military contracts, but knowing how the company operates, it's highly unlikely that work will continue, which is quite interesting. Maybe there is a smaller branch from Mira that will persist that can fulfill those obligations, because it's very lucrative to work with the government. But maybe in this particular instance, it's not that much. Mira's military contracts include a small agreement with the U.S. Air Force and a $702,000 agreement with the Navy. So in
I mean,
government
for Apple,
parlance,
that's pretty small, right?
yeah, I mean, in government contracting parlance, this is not even a small business set aside. This is nothing. If you're not $5 million or more, you're basically a drop in the bucket. I don't think you even show up on a budget line, really. Not an individual line. Anyway, Mira builds the most scalable augmented reality hardware plus software solutions in the market, enabling frontline workforces with communication tools and information when they need it most, according to the company's website. So this is a little Nintendo World Mario Kart ride helmet. Not helmet, but augmented reality set. This is like the headpiece. It even has the same type of connector that you would see on the Apple Vision Pro. That little shaped pad right there looks a lot like it. I don't know if there's more. Yeah, there isn't any more to this article, but obviously you can follow the link and check it out. I think that it looks exactly like it. In fact, let me back up a little bit. Where is it? It wasn't there. Let's see. And here we go. So see, it has that little pad right there. That's where the speakers are. And it's a connector right here that disconnects this back half from this half. There's already a leather strap, back head strap, available that was announced by some company. I can't remember the name of it. So somebody has the mind to start selling this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I think that this is actually led directly to it. That's just me, though. Okay. Let's go on to this next article. Because your Ford might, if you have a hybrid SUV, it might do some spontaneous garage heating. Ford is recalling 125,000 hybrid SUVs and pickup trucks after finding a risk of engines catching fire. It seems like it's an endless public service announcement service that ohmTown is offering up to people. Ford Motor Company is recalling 125,322 SUVs and pickup trucks in the U.S. after the discovery that leaked engine fluids and fuel vapor could cause fires, according to a filing at the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The recalls include 3 models of Escape SUV, the Maverick pickup, and a few others, I guess. It's over at Quartz or QZ.com. The author is Diego Lasarte. Then a little deck statement says, the move comes a week after the automaker recalled 142,000 Lincoln SUVs for similar issues. What is going on?
I don't know.
You know that
I feel like every major manufacturer of cars has had a pretty significant recall lately.
And even sometimes it's impacted by somebody else's product within that car, like the inflators, the Takata ones,
Takata airbags.
But there was another one that followed up, and they said that they're not going to institute a recall, even though that there's reports of the inflators basically sending debris through people when they're fired off. One woman just came out of her coma or something like that recently. So they say that it's the Escape SUV, the Maverick pickup, and the Lincoln Corsair luxury SUV. So if you've got one of those, park it outside your garage so that if it does catch on fire, it doesn't take your whole house with you or with it. The recall applies to Escapes from 2020 to 2023, Oh, it's Arc Automotive. That's right. The AI just sent me that note. Arc Automotive has inflators that are for airbags on the driver's side, airbags. Apparently, that's where it's really taking place. And I can't count. I don't know how many it's happened, like 5 or 15 or something like that.
Right, but there's 67 million inflators out there that, so
Is that
it's
all?
kind of a big deal. Now can be more than one per car, but
Okay, the way you said that just makes me laugh because it was like I'm a pretty big deal, you know, the way that you said that. It's a pretty big deal. So anyway, Ford recalled the same models last July after identifying a similar problem with their engines. The new recall comes after 3 vehicles had received last year's recall fix and caught fire. The company said it's still developing a new recall fix. How about?
let's see. Recall fix causes fire. Maybe not a recall fix.
Yeah, can we Control Z and undo that? All right, let's go on to the next article. I love this one. My understanding of this, by the way, is that in Finland, your ticket is based on your income. It scales. So
That's
you
why
might
this
want
was
to
submitted. Yes.
you might want to do what maybe a couple of US business people do, which is depending on what you're looking for, you declare that you're dirt poor or filthy rich. So in this particular instance, a Finnish businessman handed nearly $130,000 speeding ticket. It's Finland's richest man. One of Finland's richest man. Wow. Okay, let's just go over to the article. Emma, I don't know how to pronounce their last name, so I think it's Ogao. Pardon me, I'm sorry. Finnish businessman handed a 121,000 euro speeding ticket. Multi-millionaire Anders Wickloff is one of Finland's richest men. And I'm sure that they're going to say in the article how they got to that system, or I should say that valuation for the ticket. It was a speeding ticket, 129,544 US dollars. I guess they were driving 50 in a 30 mile per hour zone. Wow, for going 20 over. So he was over the speed limit, which changed suddenly, and was attempting to slow down, but did not manage to slow down fast enough. I really regret the matter. Yeah, I'm sure. So under the Finnish day fine system, the more a driver is over speed limit, the higher the number day fines received. So Finland was the first Nordic nation to introduce the income-based day fine system in 1921, and several European nations have followed suit. So this thing has been around for a while. Where was it? Iceland, where it was like there were cameras on the main road or something like that, and you had to become very paranoid about getting pulled over because just going 5 miles would pull you over.
Yes,
Something like that.
Iceland has that system where essentially if you're even a mile over, or a kilometer, I guess, over.
Yeah, it's like military
I'm sure
bases.
other countries probably do too.
Yeah. So he is reported to have previously been issued a 63,000 euro fine in 2018. In 2013, he received a 95,000 euro fine, together amounting to a grand total of 279,000 euros over the last decade. This guy. More money than sense, I suppose. But hey, when you have millions, what's a couple 100,000 a year? Other than a house.
I swear we had another article in ohmTown recently about moving to an income-based system, but I can't locate it, and it wasn't something we ended up putting in an episode.
Yeah, I'm sure. It rings a bell, and I think it's because it was speculation and talk, and not something that even had an inkling of a foothold in policy. The world record speeding ticket is currently held in Switzerland, which had a similar day fine system. a total fine of $1,091,340 was issued to a Swedish motorist caught driving 170 kilometers per hour or 105 miles per hour over the speed limit. What the hell were they driving?
Might have warranted, but yeah. So, and where were they going?
Okay,
I mean, at that speed, they'd almost be leaving the country in no time, because Switzerland isn't a particularly large country, I don't believe.
It was that car? Huh. Whoa. Interesting. I don't normally follow links within the articles, but I was really curious about which car it was. So, just your standard. It looks like your standard vehicle. Wild. Okay, let's go on to another article. Come on. I want to swing by this, so I'm going to get on the road, and I will see you later. I'll be leaving ohmTown here shortly. Cheez-It themed rest stop.
Serve Cheez-Its.
Let's find out. So a Cheez-It themed rest stop opens in California for a limited time. This is in the Mobile Channel. The Kellogg Company, owner of Cheez-It, has transformed a famous gas station and souvenir shop in Joshua Tree into a special brand experience. It's the biggest, cheesiest roadside attraction to ever grace America's beloved highways and byways, said the company, for 1 week from Monday, June 5th to Sunday, June 11th. I guess I'm not going to make it. Visitors can shop for unusual Cheez-It flavors and exclusive merch and try the world's first and only Cheez-It pump. Oh my God. Iman Palm is the author over at thehill.com.
I mean, how many selfies do you think are going to occur there? I don't know. It's just something different.
Well, Joshua Tree is going to get a ton of attention from those who are really into Cheez-Its. I dig Cheez-Its like pretty much anybody does, but this is a little over the top. But I don't mind it. I mean, it's just one little gas station. You want to go? We can go.
Yeah, we still have time to get there by the end of the week. We'd have to move pretty fast, though.
Yeah, I'll put you on a USB drive and I'll just head out. So the rest stop is located about 128 miles from Los Angeles and about 168 miles from San Diego. So it'll take you about 2 days to get there from San Diego. Accounting for traffic.
Because of traffic, yes.
Let's go on to the next article. And now I'll play catch up with the past articles. God, I'm horrible at this. We're coming up on like 600 episodes of the show, and I still watch this. Okay, so I was really interested in this one because my understanding, my experience is, unless you are a practicing attorney, you can't be part of a law firm with people who are bar members. Not just an attorney.
I mean, you couldn't be a partner.
Yeah. This person was a partner at a law firm.
You couldn't be calling yourself an attorney either without the bar admission.
You can say you have a JD, but you can't be into a contractual employment with a practice, an actual law firm. Well, this one's really interesting. It's in Law Nerd. Bar admission denied for applicant who rose to law firm partnership without law license. He'd been practicing law for a decade. So when you follow the source, you go to the ABA journal. I mean, can you imagine It's like an arsonist trying to become a firefighter, and they go, well, I've been setting fires for decades, and I really know how to put them out. Can I become a firefighter? No, you've just violated the contract, the social contract, the professional ethics of law. You can't become a member of the bar if you've been practicing law without a license. Deborah Cassin's
I don't
wife.
even understand how this happened. Because
Yeah,
any member of the public can do a search. So you could have searched for this person's name in, for example, the New York bar, and they wouldn't have appeared. So
it's
how
interesting.
did any of this occur?
And how did the law firm actually make it?
Exactly.
So,
but even some of the clients, because some of the clients might have just done a quick check before hiring an attorney.
It's weird. I don't know how this could actually happen. So Deborah Cassin's Weiss is the author over at abajournal.com. It says the New York Appeals Court has denied bar admission to a 2000, that's the year 2000, so 23 years ago, law graduate who practiced law for nearly 10 years without a license, rising to law firm partnership. The Appellate Division's 3rd Judicial Department of the New York State Supreme Court. It made it to the Supreme Court? Okay.
Well, that's probably because it's it would be the court that somebody would most likely be admitted to in that state, because they typically admit to the Supreme Court or the particular state.
But... okay, maybe there's a context here that I'm missing.
Because it's an admissions issue at this point.
Oh, okay. So it went straight to that because that's the one that would be presiding over that. Okay.
Right. It gives it more prominence than it probably
gotcha.
had.
Than just Ninth Circuit or whatever. Okay. So, said the bar applicant had failed to proffer sufficient evidence of rehabilitation that would warrant his conditional admission to the bar. I don't understand.
Well, and how did it come to light? Did it come to light because he sought admission after all this time and it was kind of like, oh, I'm employed by this law firm as a partner? I mean, doesn't it make you wonder what the sequencing was here?
Yeah, and here's the kicker for this. He'd been practicing since 2001, worked in 2 different firms, rising to partnership at one, and neither of the firms are identified in the opinion. And the name of the person is in re anonymous. They're not even identifying any of the constituent parts for something that's obviously, it's a breach of the ethics of the.
Well, think about all the people that were represented by the attorney.
Yeah, I mean,
the law firm did absolutely two firms did no diligence into looking into this person's background.
It impugns the integrity of both of those firms, the person, and all of the outcomes from the court. They'd have to review it and go.
And that's exactly it. It's like when there's right. I think you mentioned an example earlier, but like a police officer, right? Yeah, then you have to reopen all those charges. And
I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of argument of, well, it didn't fundamentally change the nature because what the arguments were based on was sound. But then why have the statute that you have to be bar?
Well, it'd be interesting. For example, I'm trying to think what they would do as a practical matter. For instance, if the client was represented and prevailed, for instance, are they going to consider? My point is, would they reopen
all of the cases?
They're just right, or would they only where somebody? Well, it depends on which side you're on, I guess. But where the client side was harmed, that was represented by, I don't know,
20 years worth of litigation. He passed the bar.
That is.
He passed the bar in 2018. Yeah.
I mean, what it's also reminding me, of course, my cousin Vinny.
So, yes, exactly. New York,
and I'm thinking of the Jerry Gallo dialogue in the movie.
So this is how you found out. One of the firms learned that the law grad was unlicensed after he misrepresented the status of a pending matter and was asked to resign. The appeals court also said the law grad had fabricated a court order to deceive his employer and client about the status of a pending matter, but it's not disclosed on his bar application. The firm's discoveries led to the law grad's indictment on charges that included grand larceny in the second degree, practicing or appearing as an attorney without being admitted to the practice, and offering a false instrument for filing in the second degree. The grand larceny charge was based on being paid an attorney's salary despite being unlicensed. Amazing.
I
So
still
basically,
do not understand how this happened.
right. I mean, the first thing that a law firm would do would be verifying the credentials and that they've passed the bar.
And that would be, I mean, that's like a 1 minute online search.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, it's not an effort at all.
Yeah. But hey, due diligence is not necessarily, in the wheelhouse of, I don't know, any institution's HR department. It's a cursory, like, yeah, okay. We accept whatever you told us. Yeah, I've actually seen that happen. So I'm not particularly surprised that it happens. I am absolutely surprised that it happened at a law firm.
I'm surprised it happened at a law firm, and I'm surprised it happened for such a lengthy period.
Sure.
Like, I think it would be astonishing even if it was, say, for 6 months, but it's 2 decades.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. Okay, so the very last article. Oh, wait, no, look, I forgot to do that again. This is how a 1 hour show ends up being a 2 hour show. Let's go on. So this is where I think I draw the ire of Twitch. Twitch streamers revolt against new limits on branded sponsorships. Quote, this is a direct attack on our business. Well, my problem with this is your business is actually Twitch's business. Your eggs are in their basket. It's their basket. It's rough for me to say it like that, but I come from the business world, and the business world doesn't really necessarily care about your feelings on the matter. If they have a brand that they want to protect, if they have investors that they want to keep investors, if they've got a board that directs things, monitors, checks and balances, legal issues, etc., all kinds of stuff from copyright, trademark, all manner of thing, then they have to put some constraints on things. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of their particular situation. So I can't sit there and speak to every aspect of it. But some of the things that I see, I'm like, oh, okay, I totally get this. But here's what's going on. You have to go over here to this, to the website where it's sourced from, which is pcgamer.com. Andy Chalk is the author. And it says, Twitch has apologized for creating confusion and frustration, but streamers say the problem isn't confusion, it's bad policy. The matter is, there are streamers and orgs that are baking in advertising into their stream, not just doing live reads, but doing like logos are displayed on the stream, because you can do that kind of thing like up here, all over the screen. I can put stuff. And so they put constraints in, and just like YouTube, you have to declare when you are endorsing something, when something is paid as an advertisement. When you're playing a game, you have to say, hey, this is a compensated demonstration of this product. But they go a little bit further. So they have these two things here. It says the page also explains in graphical format what is and isn't allowed. So this is okay. You can put branded panels below the fold, which is, so right below me is where my stream stops. And then underneath it is the rest of the web page. And you can put these little panels, and these panels can be branded panels. Like I can advertise, Coke or something like that, right? I can put something behind me, right? So I have panels from Gick Acoustics. That's where my sound panels are coming from. Those lights that are behind me that are flashing, that's a company called Twinkly. And you can buy these lights and they're programmable. And that's behind the person, right? You can include links to other sites. So I can embed stuff like this in my chat. You don't see it, but anyway, so I can embed chat links. I can discuss products and endorse things and do unboxing videos live and whatever else. Like I've got a product that's sitting right here that I want to demonstrate. It's not ready for prime time yet, but I will demonstrate it in the coming weeks. As a matter of fact, I keep saying that because I keep finding other issues. But anyway, and you can play sponsored games. But then you say, hey, I'm playing this game and Blizzard is paying me for the next 4 hours to play Diablo 4. Right? So what they don't want is logos on the stream. And they have to be a certain size. So if it's an overlay, it has to be limited to 3% of the screen size. That's because based on their analytics, they say that anything bigger than that is impacting negatively the stream and stopping consumers from consuming. That's the argument that I can imagine them saying. So inserted burned in video ads, that basically is pre-built ads. You mash a button, it streams the ad in situ, and it basically becomes a perpetual residual revenue stream. So you can talk about it, but you can't bake it into the actual stream. And the same thing like this, inserted burned in display ads. So have products down here or anywhere that are just perpetually there in your stream. I cannot count how many streamers do this, right? There's all kinds of streamers that put these little banner ads, and they're rather innocuous, Huge streamers do this. And then the inserted burned in audio ads. So like something up here or anywhere on the screen where you can play it. And it acts as an ad. So I can understand some of this. I totally understand the context of it. But you've allowed it for so long, and there really isn't, you cannot demonstrate that this is negatively impacting anything. But it is leading to the streamers making more money because they're the one that's in charge of it versus sending these ads, the advertisers, over to Twitch, who bakes it into the interstitial ads that run, unless you've got Twitch Turbo, where you don't see any ads, or you subscribe to a specific streamer where you don't see any ads. So, as one person puts it down here somewhere in the article, because I had read some of this elsewhere, it comes down to money. So like all of these ads like this would have to go away. All of these ads would have to be limited. This would have to be more constrained, which means that the streamer cannot sell as much, right? Even though you have 12,000 people watching you stream, you're no longer able to maximize the profits because the advertiser wants something like this, but you're only afforded 3%, which is almost invisible on a screen. You'd have to make it flashing in 3D and reach out, grab people and steal their wallet. But that's really what it's all about, is trying to get advertisers to use the standardized process, while also perhaps leaning into, you have to, I guess, constrain yourself so that you're not impacting people consuming Twitch. But I don't think I've ever been turned away by an ad. Maybe I'm not the common Twitch user. I treat Twitch like it's my sports channels, you know? Like some people watch NFL or NBA or soccer or wherever it might be. I watch Twitch. So this stuff would never even faze me. Anyway, it's an interesting article. And a lot of people are taking it as if it's going to destroy their business model. I don't know. Because people have been doing this so long. There isn't enough people at Twitch to police this. It's almost unenforceable. And it would have to be case by case. And if they do it disparate treatment, then you've got a lawsuit. You have to treat everybody equal. And you've got streamers that do this stuff. They do all of this bad stuff is what I'm saying. Yet they're bringing in 20,000 viewers to their channel alone every day, every time they stream 20,000 or more. And they all do this kind of stuff. 10,000 on a daily basis. I know of one streamer in particular. Two. Let me say that again. I've got two that I watch pretty much every single day, and they do a little bit of all of this. You'd have to shut them down for it to apply to everybody. Otherwise, you get disparate treatment, and it doesn't look good. But this is funded by Amazon, not a mom and pop shop. So you're going to be having to go after the equivalent of Amazon if you get disparate treatment. Or you can go to YouTube. It's something that I tell people all the time when they're trying to start up a business. If your key element that you need for your business to be an ongoing concern is somebody else's product and you're value adding to it, you're going to be in a world of hurt because that business could be purchased and they stop selling to you. Or they say you're using our product and misrepresenting it as your own. We're going to take you to court.
Or they could just change an algorithm or a policy.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty simple. So we're going to keep an eye on this because although I don't do any of this stuff, I'm not big enough to, warrant trying to throw an, I'm not a partner. I'm not an affiliate. I don't have the pull that would warrant me doing this except for my own business stuff. And I wouldn't do that. Watching somebody get taken down because they do something like this, hell would freeze over. So many people would exit Twitch and just switch over to YouTube and see what happens on YouTube. But it's very constrained. The next thing, if you don't make it here on Twitch because of the policy coming down on you, you go over to YouTube. They've got different policies. They come down on you. Then you're over on TikTok streaming because you can TikTok stream now. And who knows what they'll do. They may not care until you say something that might impeach the integrity of the service or the business, government, whatever behind them. Yeah, I don't know. I got to leave that one alone. I may want to stream on Twitch, and I don't want to mess up. No, just kidding. Not Twitch, TikTok. No, I don't. I don't want to stream on.
I wanted to say that the article also talked about gaming events. Oh, it's at the bottom here.
Yeah, that's this.
But it's interesting because the events themselves run afoul of this, and
yes,
it just, I mean, they're either going to have to figure out some way where they can charge for this, which is going to upset viewers, but if they just shut down channels or something, that's going to cause a complete uproar, not just among the streamers, but the people that watch the streamers.
And if they lean into, well, we want a piece of the action, then the optics of that, actually, it goes beyond optics at that point. It's just they're going to be perceived as being greedy bastards. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, now suddenly you want extra 20%. It all comes down to stockholders needing perpetual increases in profits. Nothing ever is good enough. 3% growth isn't good enough. You have to get 15%, you know. And if people are making, it's kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons thing, where people were making millions of dollars and suddenly Wizards of the Coast goes, you know what? I really want some of that action. So let's change the rules. It isn't good for business. And, but here's the really big issue is there is no competition really. They all have rules like this. The only one I don't know of rules like this is TikTok. That's the only one that I've never done any research on, mainly because I've never been a fan of the ecosystem. But here we are. You keep pushing people away. When they're big enough, they take their audience with them. Hopefully nobody is saying things like what Reddit says, which is, you'll be back. Okay, folks. Well, that's it for tonight. That is ohmTown Daily. We did 12 articles and a whole lot of soapboxing. We always bring you back to the front page and then mash that logo so that you can see that, oh God, the very first. Anyway, so we aggregate a whole bunch of news sources into, or I should say, Mayor Watt aggregates a whole bunch of news sources into ohmTown so that it's a little bit more manageable. And we, at the end of the show, we always go rolling through this.
So
just
one
to see if
positive one is McDonald's is celebrating Grimace's birthday. That was up a little bit. A very light article.
Yeah, McDonald's is celebrating Grimace's birthday, and everyone's invited. Yay! Okay, I'll go to McDonald's tomorrow. That's it. That's where I'm leaving it. Okay, folks, thank you very much for coming and hanging out. I hope you have a really great night, and we will see you tomorrow. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI that's going to say bye. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern and maybe earlier in the day for other shows.
Yeah, I'll probably be streaming Diablo 4. Not probably. I will. I have another appointment for closing out a project just outside of ohmTown. And so I've got to close that, and then I'll be back to stream Diablo 4. My 5th session, hopefully I'll get to like level 38 or something like that. I don't know. It depends on how fast I can go. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.